What is the real agenda behind homosexual marriage? Have you given it much thought? Let me ask you a few important questions. If homosexual marriage is passed into law by the Labor Greens coalition, are you aware of the effect that will have on your children and your grandchildren? Are you aware of the deep impact that it's having on children in other nations where it has been passed? Do you think perhaps that homosexual marriage is merely a human rights issue and about giving homosexuals and lesbians a fair go? If so, would it surprise you to learn that only about 20% of Australian homosexuals and lesbians have shown any personal interest in marriage? Or do you think perhaps it's about discrimination? Let me ask you, is it discrimination that a brother can't marry his sister, a father his daughter, a 12-year-old boy marry a 11-year-old girl, or God forbid, an animal lover marry his dog? No, this is not about discrimination. It's about the age-old cultural boundaries necessary for a healthy society. The truth is, many of the chief proponents and activists for homosexual marriage around the world are not personally interested in marriage, and they openly acknowledge that homosexual marriage is about redefining marriage and changing the concept of family. In the words of prominent American homosexual activist Michelangelo Signorile, this is what he said: "Fight for same-sex marriage and its benefits, and then, once granted, redefine the institution of marriage completely. To demand the right to marry not as a way of adhering to society's moral codes, but rather to redefine and alter an archaic institution that, as it now stands, keeps us down. The most subversive action lesbians and gay men can undertake, and one that would benefit society, is to transform the notion of family entirely." This then is the real hub of the issue. You may ask, why would homosexuals and lesbians want to redefine marriage? The underlying issue is monogamy. Traditional marriage is all about monogamy and sexual faithfulness to a lifelong partner. As the 2004 amendment to the Marriage Act, the Australian Marriage Act, states, marriage is the union between a man and a woman to the exclusion of all others, voluntarily entered into for life. Though a minority of homosexuals advocate monogamy, the vast majority of homosexual activists, writers and professors loudly proclaim that homosexual marriage should not be monogamous. Why? Because they say sexual freedom and multiple partners are intrinsic to homosexual culture and nature. Consequently, they say they must radically alter the archaic notion of marriage from what it has always been. Make no mistake, homosexual marriage is not about human rights. It's about social engineering and undermining true family values. For those of us Australians who are concerned for family values, legalising homosexual marriage and redefining marriage is not an option, and it's become one of the most important social issues of our day. In the words of one Canadian professor, marriage is not merely the union between two persons. It is a gendered union with social goods attached. The state, which didn't invent marriage, neither has it the authority to reinvent it, is rightly interested in marriage on behalf of these goods. Goods such as stability of community and property, of human reproduction and the care of children, of cross-gender and cross-generational bonding, etc. Marriage is not an arbitrary construct. It is an honourable estate based on the different complementary nature of men and women and how they refine and encourage and support and complement one another. Neither is this view arbitrary or idiosyncratic. It reflects the accumulated wisdom of millennia and is the teaching of every major religion. Yet there is real fear attached to this issue. For example, during the 1994 International Year of the Family, the Australian government refused to even try to define what it meant by the word family, for fear of offending the homosexual lobby. Many Australian parliamentarians will not speak out on this issue for fear of being targeted by those pushing homosexual marriage and the media backlash that is attached. Yet, in defending family and future generations, if we bow down to this intimidation and remain silent, I believe we'll go down in history as the generation of cowardice and compromise. Now's the time to make a stand. On December 3rd, the Australian Labor Party will debate this issue and vote on this issue right here at the Sydney Exhibition and Convention Centre. Prime Minister Julia Gillard has already stated her position that she upholds marriage as between a man and a woman, as has Mr Tony Abbott and many of his colleagues in the Liberal National Coalition. But we need to support our parliamentarians. But now Ms Gillard has declared that she supports a conscience vote, basically calling her party to back down from their traditionally held strong defence of marriage and family. The homosexual lobby's power brokers, Green Senator Bob Brown and Finance Minister Penny Wong, both know that pushing homosexual marriage to a conscience vote is a major step towards seeing it pass. Now, a conscience vote might seem rational and reasonable and democratic, but the reality is it's all about incremental change, divide and conquer. There are those within the Australian Labor Party who have the courage to strongly oppose the homosexual marriage lobby, but they need our support to continue to stand strong and to encourage others to stand with them. On Saturday, December 3rd at 10 a.m. in the morning, on the very day the ALP debates the same-sex marriage issue at the Sydney Convention Centre, many family organisations are joining together for the Stand for Marriage rally right here in Martin Place, to send a message of support to those politicians who have not lost their moral compass and who will oppose this push to redefine marriage. Please join me and Heal Our Land Ministries as we join with the National Marriage Coalition, the Australian Family Association, the Dads for Kids Fatherhood Foundation, Family Voice Australia, many political, church and community leaders and many other family organisations as we make a stand for marriage right here in Martin Place on December 3rd. Together we can make a difference. Together we can ensure our children's future. Together we can keep Australia the great nation it has been. Thank you.